I've got 7 tips for installing laminate flooring that'll make the job easier, save you some time and money, and most importantly, keep your body from feeling like it was run over by a truck by the end of the job. Let's start with tip number 1. Now this is probably the biggest factor on how easy it's going to be to install your floor. A lot of people, when they're choosing flooring, concentrate on the color and the price. You really need to consider the underlay and the locking mechanisms of the flooring. Let's start with the underlay. I've installed flooring over the cheap white foam underlay, and honestly, it is a pain to work with. You walk on it, it tears, it shifts around. If your foot scuffs, it just kind of like, whoa. I didn't mean for it to get that bad, but you get the picture. For this project, I used Quiet Walk, and it was a completely different experience. It lays flat, it stays put, you can walk around on it without constantly fighting it. This was actually my first time using it, and I'd happily use it again. Highly recommended. The biggest difference though is the flooring itself. If this is your first time installing flooring, I would highly recommend looking for a drop and lock system. That's what I'm using on this floor here. The long edge clicks in, you slide it and butt it into place, and then you simply drop it down and it locks together. You compare that to a tongue and groove system like this life-proof flooring from the Home Depot. With this stuff, you have to tilt the board, slide it, get the end engaged, fight with it a bit, get it in place, and then you have a bunch of tapping on the end. Hopefully it locks together. It can be very frustrating and slow. Go to your local flooring store and ask one simple question. Which floor do your installers find the easiest to install? And trust me, they will have an answer. There's a couple of tools that are going to remove a lot of the pain and frustration. The first thing is a good set of knee pads. These ones were only 28 bucks. I tested a few different options out for this video. These were by far the best. They stay on your legs, they're nice and soft, and you don't have to stop every 5 minutes to pull them back up and readjust. Lunchtime? The next thing is a basic laminate flooring installation kit. This is the cheapest one I could find, and it's about 22 bucks. You get a nice rubber mallet, a pull bar, and the most important thing is the perfect tapping block for laminate flooring. The tapping block fits right over the locking profile, so you can just tap the floor together without damaging it. I like to put a couple of arrows on mine so that you always know which direction it goes. Slide, tap, keeps everything nice and tight as you get working across the room. And finally, if you don't already own one, a cheap multi-tool will be a game changer. This little hammerhead is about 35 bucks. It comes with blades. It will save you a ton of time if you need to undercut any of your door jambs or trims so that the flooring can slide underneath. Now, none of these tools are expensive, but they make a huge difference. I'll put the links down in the description. If you're watching on TV, I'll throw up a QR code. This one is about the first row, and honestly, this is the most important step of the whole installation. Step number 1 is to figure out how wide to make that first row. The goal is to avoid any tiny slivers against the far walls. The easiest way that I've found to do that is with a simple tape trick. Just click a bunch of flooring pieces together and transfer those seams onto a tape measure with a Sharpie. Don't worry, you can clean that off later with some solvent. Now you can move the tape around the room and instantly see how everything is going to work out at walls, doorways, and other obstacles. Once you figured out that perfect starting row, now you need to make a master line in the middle of the room that is parallel to the starting wall and the far walls. Sometimes you're going to have to split the difference, but a few extra minutes here will pay off later. Now come off that master line and snap out the first full row that you won't have to cut down. Lay out that row and then use a template board that is about 1/4 of an inch wider than the face of your flooring. That will account for your expansion gap. Run it along the wall with a Sharpie and it will transfer the contour of the wall onto the board. And now cut that down with whatever saw you have available. Now you can lay down your underlay and get that first row in place. And this is a big one here. Instead of using these little wedge spacers, use these block spacers. These ones allow for 1/4 inch or 1/3 of an inch gap. They sit flat, they stay put, and they do not shift around every time you start tapping the boards together. The wedge spacers have a habit of getting knocked around and falling out at the worst possible time. Get those spacers into place, lock down the first row, and you're off to the races. Now this tip is for the nicest looking vent cutouts that you're ever going to see. To mark it out, I like to get the flooring exactly where it needs to sit. Then I'll use a tape measure, black Sharpie, and a square to transfer the vent opening onto the board. If you get a little wild with the Sharpie, don't worry about it. You can just use a little methyl hydrate and paper towel and wipe it right off. For cutting, I'll use a jigsaw with a laminate blade. You can use a regular wood blade, but the laminate is nicer. It leaves fewer chips. Just take your time, cut right along the black line. Now here's a little pro tip for a clean square cut on the ends. When you round that over and you're going to cut and get along the line at the back there, instead of cutting all the way along and letting that piece drop out, leave it attached. That way you can pull the jigsaw back out and that little piece acts like a guide that helps you cut straight back in the other direction. Pull it out and finish it off. Finish both sides, pop out the piece, and then grab a little 150 grit sandpaper. This part might be a little overkill, but it's a nice little small detail. Sand those edges. You can take off any of the chips, put a little bevel on it, and then when you pull that vent out in the future, you're going to have a little work of art under there. Now this one is absolutely critical. If you get it wrong, your floor is going to end up with glaring patterns that look horrible. The first thing that you want to do is mix the boards from different boxes. That's going to prevent color blocked sections that look different from the rest of the floor. And the big mistake that most people make here is with their starting piece pattern. They're going to go long piece, slightly shorter, then a slightly shorter, and then the next thing you know, they've built the dreaded staircase pattern. Instead, I like to think of the board as 4 different starting pieces: full piece, 3/4, half, and quarter piece. I mix those lengths up as I go and I avoid putting them into that stepping pattern. You can see what I've done here. I've mixed things up, and when I come back to one of those sizes later, I'll often add or subtract a few inches just to create even more variation. There's no magic formula. You're just trying to keep the eye from spotting a pattern. The other thing that I like to do is I'll save my cutoffs. The cutoffs from the starters can become future finishing pieces and vice versa. That's going to save a surprising amount of material. And speaking of cutting, the biggest time saver and honestly body saver of this entire installation is one of these flooring cutters. This is a cheap Naco flooring cutter, and if you're doing more than one room, I'd highly recommend it. Laminate flooring is incredibly dusty when you cut it. There's no way you'd want to be cutting this in the room with any kind of a power saw. And the nice thing with this cutter is you can keep it right beside you, and instead of constantly getting up and down, walking out to the garage, in this case downstairs, you can just stay down on your knees, make a quick cut, and keep on moving. And trust me, after you've gotten up and down a few hundred times, it starts to add up in a big way. There's no easier way to make your laminate flooring look amateur than to not undercut your door jambs and casings. Let me show you the easiest way to do it. Take a scrap piece of flooring, tape or glue a piece of underlay to the bottom. Now you can use a handsaw to undercut these, but honestly for $35, this multi-tool is going to make it a heck of a lot easier. I tested out this little hammerhead for a cheap option. It comes with blades, and yeah, this thing does a great job. Slide your template piece up against the jamb and casing and then use it as a guide for the cut. Keep the blade level and don't plunge too deep here. Instead, make a shallow scoring cut all the way along the face. Then gradually work your way along into the depth of the cut. The other thing to watch out is cutting too far back into the jamb. It's very easy to get off level and make a bad cut. Instead, just swing the template around and then score and then finish the cut. Once you've done that, this is what a lot of people will miss. Take a little bit of sandpaper and lightly bevel that cut edge. It'll only take a few seconds, but it's going to make a huge difference. And this is exactly why you sand the undercut. I'm going to be attempting to jam this U-shaped piece in there. It'll be a miracle if this actually fits. Before we find that out, let me thank today's sponsor, Shox Headphones. I've been wearing the Open Fit Pros here for the last month. Great sound quality, excellent battery life, noise reduction when you need it, and the best thing about these is the fit. Most of the time I forget that they're even on my ears. You can put the earmuffs right over top when you're making your cuts. You can take them on and off and they don't fall out of your ears. I love the little controls for starting and stopping and adjusting the volume, volume up, volume down. And the nice thing here is these are an open ear design, so you can still hear your surrounding. You never know when something might actually be chasing you out there, and these are perfect. If you want to check these out for yourself, I will put the Shocks link down in the description. Let's see if this piece actually fits. We're at the final tip. Let me show you how to nail the last row. Cut the row to length and then lay it directly on top of the previous full row and line everything up along that edge. And now grab that template that you made from the first row and then trace that contour all the way along the wall with the black Sharpie. Cut it out, pop it into place, and this is exactly why you bought the installation kit. Grab the pole bar, hook it onto the flooring, tap, tap, tap. Everything just pulls together nice and tight, and that is a thing of beauty. And hey, if you're wondering why a carpenter would choose laminate flooring over a beautiful hardwood, go ahead and check out this video right over here. Making a staircase all the way across your room where you're just stepping up, stepping up. Some people just keep going.